Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vargas Academy. This topic is about genetics and APRNs and nurses. A lot of us are having a hard time answering questions related to genetics, chromosomes, and stuff. So I have formulated several slides to help you understand the common terms that is used in these questions. So the first slide shows you the abnormalities of chromosomes, the terms that you will need to know. Keep in mind we have 23 chromosomes in normal cells, and the term aneuploid cells means we do not have multiple 23 chromosomes. And then examples are given. The trisomy 21 always comes on questions, board exams. You have to know the meaning of aneuploidy and also the characteristic features, which I have listed. Trisomy 18 and 13 once in a while comes with case scenarios. So read on this one and understand what that means. And then we have these terms like Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is a genetic disorder, usually seen on the APRN board exams under the chromosomal abnormalities. Monosomy, nullisomy, and trisomy 21 and tetrasomy is also seen. And then we have Klinefelter syndrome, the XXY aneuploidy, which is an example of the human sex chromosome disorder. It is often seen on the exams also. So I have listed that, and the details are in these slides. Here's a quiz that is going to help you answer a case scenario where you formulate an answer based on the autosomal recessive disease, patients with 2 children diagnosed with the dominant genetic disease. You're looking at the probability of the next child to have the same disease, and the scenario is given. So read through that slide. Down syndrome is often seen, and the term used here is non-disjunction. During the formation of one of the parent's gametes or during early development of the embryo, 97% of the infants are born with Down syndrome. This is characterized by the absent homologous X chromosome with only a single X chromosome that exhibits the features of the Turner syndrome. In Turner syndrome, sex chromosome is missing, and the patient's total chromosome count will be 45. So Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, and Fragile X, all these three are considered abnormalities of non-disjunction. Know the meaning of transcription. Sometimes it is listed as a transcription of RNA and DNA. And a lot of times the questions are related to the chorionic villus sampling. And know that the DNA polymerase enzymes travels along the single DNA strand, adding the correct nucleotides to the free end of the new strand. In the chorionic villus sampling, there is a small amount of villus tissues is extracted directly from the chorion, and this procedure is usually done at 10th week of gestation, and it allows the clinicians to diagnose approximately 3 months of gestation rather than 5 months, and to detect chromosomal abnormalities. There are 2 principles, genetic principles, penetrance and expressivity. The first slide is going to give you examples of penetrance and the diseases like BRCA1, BRCA2. Genes found in breast cancer is very common on the exams. And then cystic fibrosis, one of the most lethal example of autosomal recessive disease. So study that. Here's the expressivity slide that is also a genetic principle, very common. Questions are seen with autosomal dominant disease, type 1 neurofibromatosis. Cystic fibrosis is autosomal recessive disease. Marfan syndrome is also another one that I often seen on the exams. Marfan syndromes, so keep in mind, it can affect the connective tissue. So the heart is affected. Know the effect on heart, know the effect on connective tissue. It's a genetic disorder. that changes the proteins, and the pathological variants are the FBN1 gene on chromosome 15q21. A lot of times we had to memorize these numbers because a lot of other numbers are given to distract students. So this slide will help you answer those questions. And then we have Huntington's disease, which is an autosomal dominant disease. Signs of progressive dementia is seen, and cystic fibrosis is another one opposite to that, recessive, and the Huntington's chorea is dominant. Type 1 diabetes is also seen lately in a couple of questions. It's an autoimmune disease, and it explains how it becomes an autoimmune disease. The T cell infiltration of the pancreas and the destruction of beta cells, insulin-producing beta cells. So there's a pathological outline there. Epigenetic modification is another term used to study the behaviors of environment, which causes changes in the genes. And unlike genetic changes, epigenesis also is irreversible. They do not change your DNA sequence, but they can change your body, how the body reads a DNA sequence. Epigenetic modification comes when you have questions related to identical twins. The occurrence of asthma is another example. When one pair of identical twin, they can carry on that. As twin ages, the methylation pattern also changes. It increases the number of phenotypical differences. A lot of environmental factors are affected. Diet and exposure to chemicals and herbicides are also affected, are also significant for these process to happen. But the key word is, unlike the DNA sequence mutation, which cannot be reversed, epigenetic modification can be reversed. That's the key word here. Cancer and role of mRNA. Messenger RNA is overexpressed in cases of metastasis on a cancer that is already existed. So that's why I present this here. Some of the metastasis like melanoma, these terms come with a case scenario of melanoma metastasis. So know the meaning of messenger RNA and how that works in the metastasis. This slide will give you a genetic disease of retinoblastoma, and then consanguinity causing diseases transferred to the next genes. Male with one X chromosome is hemizygous, and X-linked recessive conditions are passed from an affected father to all the daughters in that case. Sometimes skipped generation are often observed in the X-linked recessive disease. And the genes can be transmitted through the female carriers this way. So this is a slide just to help you understand what those terms means. Here's a slide that gives you some key points from what we have discussed before. The two common terms that I see on the exams are mental retardation and miscarriage, and also muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy is often seen with the genetic disorders. So this is an important slide for you to study. Here's a match the following and work on it. And that concludes the genetic information, the basics that I normally see on the board exams, the pathophysiology quizzes, students who often miss these answers because it's kind of twisted and tricky when the questions are presented. So these slides will help you answer anything related to genetics and the disease processes that is more often seen in these exams. Good luck and have a blessed day. Thank you.